Last night we stayed at Springer Shelter. It's pretty cold. I looked at my thermometer about 3 in the morning and I think it said 28, so. But my gear held up pretty good. Wasn't too bad. This morning I just kind of didn't really get in a hurry. I left about 9:45, 10 o'clock, and just taking it easy. Today we're going to do 12 miles, a little over 12 miles to Cooper Gap. And like I said, not really in any kind of hurry. Just first few weeks, just kind of take it easy. Take plenty of breaks. You know, don't overuse your muscles and tendons, and you know, just do too much that your body can't handle that quick. Eventually probably step it up to a little more miles, and so just kind of take it easy for now. Came about 7 miles today, so have about 5 to go. And it is kind of tough terrain. It's a lot of up and then down. So down into one gap, back up another little hill, not really little, but up a little mountain, down into another gap, and repeat. So that's pretty much today. Coming out of Cooper Gap this morning. That's where we stayed tonight. Today we're going to head to Lance Creek, pass through Gooch and all of that. But it's about an 11-mile hike. That's about, we're averaging, you know, 10, 11 miles a day. Probably could do more, but really just trying to break myself into the trail without breaking myself, because I feel like you know, just to keep going, and I'm actually starting pretty late just to make sure that I don't, you know, have the urge to keep going, you know, bust out 15, 16 miles in the first day or first few weeks, because you just end up hurting yourself. So I'm just going to keep it about, you know, 10 to 12 miles a day, and hopefully that works out. If you're planning on hiking the Appalachian Trail, there's a lot of things that come into play, both physically and mentally. I thought I'd kind of talk about the some of the physical things. And I'm pretty physically fit, I would say, but I have a ton of past injuries and some illnesses. Some I may talk about later, but I kind of thought I would just start with one thing at a time, kind of see what I do, or to compensate, or to make sure that I don't make that injury aggravated to where it keeps me from finishing or hiking the trail. So one thing is, like my feet. Back in the 90s, I used to ride bulls kind of semi-professionally. By that I mean, I didn't do it full time. It wasn't my job, but I did ride a lot of professional bulls in the PBR and stuff like that. But on my right foot, maybe 94, probably one of the biggest bulls I've ever been on, 2,000 pounds plus. He stepped on my right foot and broke it in 7 places. So basically it was like crushed. When I went into the Marines, it really tested, those old breaks and injuries, and my foot used to swell up like a balloon and lose all day. You couldn't see the bones or anything. It was just, I couldn't get my boot hardly on. So I really have to, think about how I walk, which everybody should, even, if something like that didn't happen to your feet. You got 2,190 miles to do the Appalachian Trail. All right, so repetitive, putting your foot down wrong can cause injury for sure. One thing, like in the Marines, like we did a lot of marching and things like that, you would always drive your heel. It was more for show, and they like to make a lot of noise, but anyway, you don't want to do that when you're hiking. So essentially, you have to teach yourself to pretty much have your foot land flat, and not only flat, but pretty soft. I don't try to run this. I just kind of take an easy pace, and have my foot land flat, the way like my knees are. I'll talk about that later, but a good bend in my knees, not like overly exaggerated, but to where I have some shock absorption. But essentially just land flat on my feet. Let the whole foot take the shock rather than, just my heel or just the ball of my foot, which can certainly lead to injury. So yesterday evening we got to Lance Creek a little after 4, and we decided to push on, and we ended up going to Woods Hole Shelter. So the 11 miles I was supposed to do, we ended up doing a little over 16, but I mean, I really have been taking it easy all day, and I felt great when we got to Lance Creek, so I figured why not. And I took it easy getting all the way to Woods Hole as well, so really wasn't a problem. I feel great this morning. It's been raining. It was raining a little bit last night. It's just kind of, there's a little drizzle, but it's mostly just fog this morning. The good thing, and another reason we pushed, is because today we're going up and over Blood Mountain down to Neels Gap, and we got cabins at Blood Mountain Cabins, so we'll be staying there tonight. It's only a couple miles from where I'm at now to the cabins, and the big thing is lunchtime is we'll be there to have pizza, so pizza and Coke, and then wait for our cabins to become available. Which sounds great. Of course, Blood Mountain is, the only obstacle that stands between me and pizza, but we really knocked out, since we didn't, stop, we knocked out some of the terrain we would have had to do this morning and the mileage. So it really made today a lot easier. Some of my group with Warrior Expedition stayed, so they got a little longer haul this morning. About half of us came on up here, so we're kind of mixed. We're all going to end up at the same place at the end of the day, but so anyway, head up to Blood Mountain, get up and over and have some pizza. I started with a rain jacket, but it really isn't raining hard enough to justify it. I think I'm getting just as wet sweating underneath it.